What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Before Summertime Rendering. This is episode 19, and with me, as always, I have Bluespade.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that things are really starting to look bleak for a lot of our main characters in the story now that Ushio is like pretty much taken out of the picture from what we can tell, and of course Shinpei gets looped back to the point where he and Ushio saved the kids from different shadows. But now with Ushio is no longer with him, he's forced to come face to face against Haine and her shadows, and of course, strangely, just as when Haine is about to kill them all, suddenly Haine and all the other shadows retreat, and all we get to see is Shinpei pulling out Ushio's seashell necklace. So it leads me to believe that Ushio's presence is still there of sorts, because I don't even, I still don't believe that Ushio is really completely dead.
Yeah, well, we had the theory that Shinpei was going to use his eye to potentially bring Ushio back somehow, which, I mean, that doesn't happen in this episode, but I kind of predict that might be how it might have something to do with that, and as well as, like, I guess maybe the seashell necklace might be involved somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happens next is everyone gets called by Shinpei, telling them that Ushio has died and they need to meet up from somewhere. However, unfortunately for them, the Shinpei that called them is actually Haine in disguise, who's actually using his form that Haine copied. I think it was back in the third loop from episode 5.
Yeah, basically the explanation for that is we did have one of the shadows did copy Shinpei in that loop, and because Haine absorbed that particular shadow, now I guess she has the ability to copy Shinpei.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Shinpei, of course, tries to call the others, but he has no reception, unfortunately. So he goes back to the cafe, asks Alan where everyone else is, and he tells him that they left like a half an hour before, and then suddenly he what was it? Shinpei finds Shadow Mio pinned down on the floor up in his room, with Shadow Mio telling him that because Ushio has died, they don't believe that Shadow Mio has because Ushio is the one who severed Mio's connection to Haine, and they don't believe, with Ushio gone, they don't trust her to help them out up to that point. So they decide, instead of killing her, they just pinned her down to the ground.
Yeah. In this place that Shadow Shinpei, or I guess Haine, wants them to meet him is this kind of like remote, or well, this small island that's I guess at low tide you can walk to it through like this like pathway, and it's already kind of suspicious because it's like it would be they could be easily isolated and killed by going there.
Actually, what happens next is Shinpei gets a call from Haine, with her telling him that she's separated the group into going to 2 different locations, and he has to decide which group he needs to save. I think Mio's group goes to one location in which they're confronted by Shide, and then Hizuru's group goes to this remote island in which, I guess you could say Hizuru's facing off against Shide, like another version of Shide of sorts.
Is that ever really explained, like how he's able to, I guess, duplicate himself like that? Like, is there 2 of him?
I mean, we saw that in the last episode where Ushio killed like a second version of him, and then the other one just came up and stabbed her in the back. But I don't know. They're not really fully explaining how Shide can really do this, even though he's like some kind of human hybrid shadow. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how his abilities even work, despite his,
Yeah.
I don't know, despite what he is. I guess. I mean, if he was just like just a shadow, then it would make sense. But with him being like a human hybrid shadow, it makes it even a little more confusing of sorts.
Hmm. Yeah. So basically, we have Mio and so that are confronted by they said it was Alan's garden where Katakiri or Chide is there, kind of just waiting for them, and he confronts them there, and then of course the rest of the group goes to this island to confront Hai. Well, of course they found out Haine is there, but they think at first, at least, they think they're meeting up with Shinpei, but then as they're about to approach the island, basically like Hizuru stops them and it becomes suspicious that this may not actually be Shinpei, even though the call originated from his phone. She suspects that he might be dead along with Ushio. So basically, she has Nezu keep watch from. I guess he said like he can only like keep watch as far as the southern part of the island. So pretty much you would be covering her, and she's going. Just in case things end up going wrong, which of course they do. But Hizuru changes. Hizuru also asks them, asks what's the girl's name? So's sister, basically, or Tokiko, to come in with the shadow babies if anything. Also, if anything were to go wrong. So then she approaches the island, turning back into their Ryunosuke persona. And that's where she encounters Shinpei, who of course ends up is Haine, and you can pretty much tell as much because of his eyes, the Haine. And of course Shide also just so happens to be there. But this is the this is the same thing that kind of happened in the last episode too, though this Shide has some kind of the spear weapon that I guess that you could kind of use that to sort of tell the two of them apart, because he has that weapon and the other one he didn't really have that.
I think this is the same Shide that killed Ushio in the last episode. So this it leads into like a pretty well animated fight between Ryunosuke and Shide with Ryunosuke just using any advantage he has to fight against Shide at times. But at the same time, the more I guess he goes beyond physical limits for Hizuru's physical body, it ends up, I guess, tearing portions of her, of her muscle fibers, and then, shattering or fracturing some of her bones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is kind of when Hizuru goes back to her other, her Hizuru persona and ends up talking with Ryunosuke, more or less like telling him like, it's okay if you just like push my body beyond its limits or something. I guess kind of implying like she's going to do anything she can to, even if she ends up killing herself to try to defeat Shide.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if that's the case, this is more or less a lost cause, for this loop in particular, and unless like wherever Shinpei is going to be going, I'm guessing he might. Yeah,
I feel like potentially in the next episode that Shinpei will try to potentially maybe find some way to bring Ushio back, because I feel like without Ushio, they really don't stand much of a chance, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they could still put up a fight, but I think Shide and Haine will probably beat them. So I think he needs to find some way to bring Ushio back.
It's possible because they're in like two different locations. Like Shinpei could have sent Shadow Mio to where Mio's group is, and then Shinpei would head over to the island where Hizuru is. So it's possible. I guess there might be some way.
That's a good point. That way he could kind of try to save both, so without having to like choose one or the other.
Yeah, not to mention that Shinpei is really trying to avoid dying again, just due to the fact that there is a limit to how many times he can die, and of course there's that whatever that cliff amalgamation thing of like, if he dies too many times, then he'll end up tumbling down that cliff and never come back from it.
Yeah. We also learned too that Chide can apparently anticipate Hizuru's like future sight, where I think he says she can see like 2 seconds into the future. And he can anticipate that, but apparently Hizuru says there's kind of some kind of time lag or something, and that's how she ends up, I guess, being able to more like actually do some damage to him.
Yeah, I think it was either Shide or Heine that disabled that ability.
Yeah, because apparently the way it works is Heine's telepathically sending Shide information or something as to what's going to happen. So it sounds like pretty much if Heine gets taken out, then Shide would probably be severely weakened.
Yeah,
that might be what has to happen, is Heine has to get injured or taken out first before they can probably even do much of anything to Shide. But yeah, it's pretty much the episode. Like I thought it was a pretty good episode. I really like I said, I really think that they pretty much need to have Ushio come help them, because I think without her I don't know how they're gonna be able to fight against Shide and Heine. So I don't know. What did you think about the episode?
It was a good episode with a lot of edge of your seat moments, and of course it's a lot more unpredictable now with Ushio taken out of the picture. And I mean I'm still anticipating Ushio to come back. As to how, it's another question, but it still has something to do with like either if it the Shinpei's right eye, or it's the seashell necklace that he still has in possession.
Yeah, and I also still have some questions about Hayane herself as well, because like it's weird, because we kind of go back to the flashback sequences where we see her acting kind of like a normal girl, and then after what happened with her like eating like Hizuru's brother and then losing her eye, she kind of became, I guess you'd say she sort of became evil in a way. So I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is there. If this is her will like controlling her, if she's doing this of her own will, or if there's something more to it. Like I'm not really sure. Like I feel like there's still a lot of questions in regards to Heine herself.
I think if we look back into what happened in the last episode, like it's because like she was originally like, well, okay, I did mention that the shadows are aliens of sorts, and then Heine copied like a girl that looks like her.
Do you think like part of it was the original persona of the girl that she copied, like coming to the surface or something?
Yes, yes. But I think the Heine we see right now, who's the more sadistic version, I think it's I'm pretty sure that is like the actual real shadow that came down from the meteor. But I think but when the times when we saw her as his kind girl that he's interacted with, was the girl that Heine copied off of and devoured. So I think that might be the case.
Yeah, that's probably most likely what it is.
Yeah, and then there was also that other scene. I think it was a couple episodes ago in which we see Ushio we see her right eye changing from blue to red, and then like we see her talking out of character, like if she was Heine herself. So
I think that has something to do with it having originally been a part of Heine, and maybe she can still like assert some kind of control over Ushio because of that. But yeah, maybe that'll be more explained later on.
I mean, even though like the Ushio we've seen it, like has the same memories and personalities as the original Ushio, this is not technically the real Ushio. It's just it is pretty much copied everything about her.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have to wonder about the what the like So's father mentioned about the shadows all having this place where they want to go to, where all it's just all shadows that exist alongside each other. I wonder if that's going to come into play at some point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's likely, but I think they would need to get to the point of where where the festival is being held, and they're still like only like a day away from that happening. But based on what's like all this stuff that is happening right now, I don't know like how they're going to end up getting there unless they somehow get there like a day earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
It was a good episode. Definitely like Ushio's Ushio being taken out of the picture like definitely is kind of a game changer for some of our main characters of how they're trying to adapt to this new situation without her.
Yeah, it really feels like they're at a pretty big disadvantage because of that. But yeah, guys, that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.